Hi guys, welcome to the relationship spread or X spread or on and off relationship spread. So let me explain to you how this works. I have developed this spread and initially I called it Cat Tarot Knows About Relationship Spread, but it got named by you X spread. Basically it is taking me through various categories, and let me explain to you what these categories are and why I'm choosing them. You're going to see in every reading these cards are lying down on the table, and this doesn't mean that the cards are exactly pulled out the same for all of the signs. It simply means that I'm trying to figure out what is in these categories and what is referring to your relationship. And by actually finding all these elements, I will be able to find out the quality of your relationship and project the future trajectory. So the very first card that I have in this spread is the Magician. The Magician, being a number 1, is the number of creation. It is somebody who really want to create something, but it's just like in a phase of thinking. It would be very much like when we show up for work and we are just starting to plan our day, but we are yet not putting our hands on it. It is somebody who really believes that he has all the tools, but he has to figure out how to use those tools. So in this category, I will be trying to figure out what tools your relationship has been given. So it is kind of like a very latent position where maybe you're not using them, maybe you are overusing them, maybe you never got the tools that can make this relationship working. So in this category, in your toolbox, I find out if this relationship basically is ever a starter. The next card I have picked is Temperance reversed. So Temperance is a really great card in the upright position. It talks about things meeting all the needs. So at the right time, in the right place, with the right person, with the right feeling, and it's kind of like that in the zone moment. Now it basically talks about balance. It talks about creation. Look at the fire is creating, like the flowers are growing. But when it's reversed, none of that is happening. So things are not coming together. People are not coming toward us. They are not understanding us. So in this category, I'm trying to figure out what glue your relationship needs. What are the items that you need to work on? Then in my personal readings, I also compare these two categories in the end just to see if you can actually surpass these pluses and minuses or what can be done. Then I'm taking Queen of Wands as a significator for one partner, and please disregard that this is a fire sign generic representation, because in this case I really want people to see themselves as the best possible. Because if, for example, this is an on and off relationship, you do want the person to come back to you and to think about the best you can achieve, and that's basically what happens. People don't come back to you hoping for the worst you are. So this is basically representing one basically partner or female partner. You pretty much know from the storyline which one it is. Then Eight of Wands is basically lots of things happening here. So Eight of Wands is going to come as a communication and energy between you and your partner. This is going to tell me if he or she will call, what kind of issues are happening behind the surface, and what really was the nature of the communication or of silence. Then Nine of Wands is representative of, let's say, for X relationship, because Knight of Wands is almost more important than King, because Knight is the one who is being sent to represent, to show off, and sometimes they're just showing the power when they're being sent to a battle. So in tarot, if this is representing your partner, you want to see your partner galloping toward you and not just sitting and waiting for the partner to be served, which kind of is the case of King of Wands. I will, however, use King of Wands for steady relationships, for some people kind of get in the rut and want to see what is going on, because then King of Wands is more appropriate in that situation. Then I have Judgment card. Well, Judgment card in some decks is being called Karma card. I consider both Judgment and Justice Karma cards. This one actually more so, because this one really talks about bringing the old things to the surface. And so I'm looking that line in time for your relationship and seeing what kind of things are surfacing. And this doesn't have to mean only about your relationship, because we are set of a sum of different life trajectories, and sometimes our buttons are being pushed, so that means something from the past has resurfaced. So two resurfacing things at the same time combined with the outside influence is what is creating a relationship. And I really want to see how is that positioning happening and what can be done with this. And lastly, the last category would be Four of Wands. It is a category of moving to the next level of happiness, of, you know, from liking each other to starting to go on a date, from dating someone to go in a serious relationship, from serious relationship to getting engaged, and so on. This is also going to tell me about the quality of your relationship, and also is going to be able to define if you should continue with that. So guys, now when you know what cards would mean, it's going to be much faster for me and easier for me to actually guide you through the categories. So for detailed explanation, you can also check on my website www.cattarot.ca, and please also via my website as well, you can get your own personal reading, which supersede any of the readings on the site, because it's only your vibration and not the vibration of many. Thanks very much. Love you. Hi Gemini, welcome to your relationship and your ex spread. So let's see what's going to be happening during the month of June and the first week in July, since it's kind of very difficult for me to have both weeklies, bi-weeklies and ex spread on the 1st, so I had to move this one down to the 7th. So if you didn't listen to the explanation, please go back. So I'm going to go really fast over here, so that way we really kind of like see what's going to evolve over these next 4 weeks. So the Magician again is representing the toolbox. So in this toolbox you have the Temperance reversed. And again, for those of you who just skipped, we are going to have double sets of cards, because the significator cards, which are going to be the same in every spread for relationship spread, is identical. And this is basically from a different deck, so that way I can get additional significators as well. So Temperance reversed in your toolbox talks about kind of like that maybe for you things are not gelling in the first week, that, you know, maybe something is missing, either the right time or the right place, or you're not saying the right thing, or they are saying the wrong thing. So that kind of sort of thing. So what basically needs to be glued in this relationship, what you need to pay attention to? So this is a card of moving on. This is definitely a card of trying to get better life, trying to kind of resolve issues, and certainly kind of like leaving this kind of like shady waters or maybe murky waters. So it is like a card of looking forward to the new and better you. Since swords are usually talking about spirituality and they talk about words, this is kind of crossing, and this crossing is kind of like crossing in our mind. We are ready to actually entertain a new idea. It's kind of rite of passage and a necessary change, and we actually definitely going to be gaining a greater wisdom. So keep in mind, Gemini, that however the turbulent the waters are, then this actually means that it's going to be calm. So if you need to work on it, you have to figure out or realize it is a time for you to kind of like stabilize. It is time to shift your awareness. So this is one significator, this is a second significator. So it could also significate your partner, so you will know the best which one is which. So how are you being seen? You're kind of being seen pretty much like here. This is again the sword, and somebody needs to recuperate. Somebody needs to come back to their senses, and it's the best is to do when you feel refreshed, when we feel that we are getting the rest and that we are giving the gratitude that we need. So this is basically the partner sees us that we need some healing, that maybe we need recuperation, and that we kind of like maybe had a lots of mental kind of work, and right now we need to kind of think and get clarity. So yeah, that kind of would be in tune what needs to be worked on, that you Gemini are really focusing on working on yourself. As far as the communication between you and your partner, actually the first week can be very loving. This is that ultimate soulmate card, and you see he is pushing his hand towards her. So this is definitely moving forward into good direction, into protection direction, into what can we do together to actually make this work. It is trust. It is trust in the flow of life. It is talking about harmonious partnership, loving and lasting, and definitely a heart connection between the two people. So I would say that it's possible that because you're kind of like getting in touch with yourself, that somebody will bring out the best out of you, and you can do the same thing for somebody else. So it is sort of like a divine love here, and of course knowing that communication is almost like exchange, that you are here for your basically lover and the vice versa, right? So being for each other, it's really strong bond. So your partner, how is your partner feeling about him or herself? Wow, Queen of Wands, that is you coming out reversed for your partner. So the partner is feeling that they cannot amount to who you are and what you can give. Queen of Wands can talk about superficiality, it can talk about not being a go-getter, not maybe living to your full promise, and certainly kind of to some extent feeling inadequate, right? This can be skin deep. Maybe the partner feels they can only offer very superficial thing, and it's certainly showing a reason for concern. So I guess in this communication, maybe that can be clear that people evolve with different speeds, so it's okay because you will pull them up when it's time for that, and hence they can return you the same favor when time comes for it. So let's see the judgment. So what's basically seen from the above karmically? Well, this is sort of not really being focused properly. So this is another 2 that you have here. So it's telling me that somebody is thinking, or karma is thinking, that don't waste time on non-productive things. So on one hand, one partner is going deep and trying to figure out what's happening and getting this like relaxation. The other partner is like superficial, not feeling adequate, and hence that's why is the imbalance that is created. So the quality of the partnership, it kind of like it's the Emperor reversed, which really talks about somebody not being in control, right? And or being actually almost in too much control. So either kind of like watch for those red flags, and that usually happens when the partner feels inadequate, that they really want to control the situation, right? It's just so normal. If we are losing relationship, we are trying to figure out what can we do, etc., and then instead of helping, it actually really hurts. So it's kind of interesting because there is this bond for sure between you and a partner, and yet the bond is not realized as long as something is not like there is like some kind of travel, either spiritual travel or exact travel. Maybe this is talking about a long distance relationship as well, that has to take place before this moves on, because right now like it looks like it's being controlled, another partner is getting really tired about it. So let's see the second week. We have in your toolbox full reverse. So it's kind of like it would indicate a new beginning, it would indicate a new start, it would indicate, okay, let's go forward and in the future. But when it's reversed, it talks about, it indicates being foolish. So foolish usually happens when you miss the right opportunities. And since temperance is reversed, I would say maybe somebody's saying the wrong things that kind of rub the other partner the wrong way. So what needs to be fixed? Well, we have Queen of Cups reversed. Well, now we have Queen of Wands reversed and Queen of Cups reversed. So this is definitely now talking about some manipulation, or somebody's trying to manipulate somebody emotionally, pull on your heartstrings, maybe even blackmail you, and it can be done through the lens of poor me kind of a thing, right? Like, I mean, somebody could be also throwing things at you as if they happen and they didn't happen, and appeal to, you know, like, I mean, your sense of being loving. So be very careful, because when you start thinking and meditating, you have to tap into what really is going on. How are you seen, and how is your partner feeling about you in the second week? Well, this is again Six of Cups, and Six of Cups is an emotional card. It certainly talks about thinking about the past. It's talking about good times in the past. But here, I think your partner is almost stuck in great things. And this is basically, I see this card, and when somebody overly idolize you, right? When almost like everything you do is wrong because you're not living up to that expectation which they did set up for you. So hence they're kind of being stuck somewhere, or maybe even trying to get you to be something else. And we all grow and we all expand, and it's kind of not possible to go backward, right? Now the communication in the second week is getting warmer, if you wish, right? So Five of Pentacles basically is not a great card. It talks about somebody being shunned, somebody kind of being left out in the cold, two of them against the world. You can see many kind of parallels about that, right? But when it's this way, this kind of like is ignoring a severe need for something. It can also literally mean getting out of cold. But I think there are needs in this relationship, and that could be emotional needs, that have to be addressed. Because obviously somebody's living in sort of like an emotional place that is stuck in time. There are certain needs that need to be addressed, and since this is Pentacle, it is really needed for their nourishment. So how is your partner feeling about themselves? Well, Devil. So now, remember how we had the Emperor here reversed, and I was talking about controlling and too much control. Well, this is talking about being tied to something, to idea, to a person, to sex, to addiction, something that you really can't let go of. And the question is, why can't you? Could it be that the partner of the person is still involved in here, and this is kind of like pushing you aside? Could it be that there is some influence happening, that maybe this person is too busy, that there are some kind of addictions? This can also mean that this partner feels that sexual relationship and attraction should never fade, and this just always has to happen on some kind of extraordinary level. In any case, this is basically being attracted to imbalance, and this balance that you're trying to get, right? Remember how you had it in a toolbox, imbalance? So here it is, voila, we know who is creating imbalance. So somebody seems to be really having a movie in their head, and they really want that particular ending of that movie, not realizing that life is a river and it kind of flows through different kind of like nooks, and you just have to really follow it through. So this is kind of like really interesting, because this somebody is behaving contrary to their best interest, and it's turning into something they actually really don't want it to turn, because, you know, loving relationship is supposed to be give and take and not to be controlled. So let's see what is karma saying. Karma is saying, well, yeah, there is like certain depressive mood here, and somebody is really not sure about what they should be getting out of this relationship, because you see here this person is rejecting this cup and this cup and this cup, and then for this person something special is being created, like a cup is showing up from the thin air, and then no, I'm going to keep my heart crossed. You see the hands are crossed right in front of this chakra, and like, I mean, yeah, I don't want it. So this is certainly talking dissatisfaction with reality, or kind of maybe being too picky. And again, I'm seeing cups here, so lots of emotional component, and it's going to be interesting now to see in your relationship quality. So 3 of Wands is not a bad card to get at all. So the wands are basically usually talking about passion and talking about movement. They talk about growth, right? So this is an interesting card because it's neither going nor coming. It's somebody in the stage of planning. Where do I go from here? Do I really want to jump on the ship? Are the ships coming? So somebody is going to reassess the goals in this relationship and figure out if these goals are in fine tune with who you really are and where you really want to be. And it's really actively waiting for plans to kind of bear fruit. Let's see the last week in June. And your toolbox is King of Swords reversed. So King of Swords reversed could be some kind of harshness entering the arena. We will see. Temperance reversed. So emotional card, a beautiful card of emotional fulfillment, is now coming in the category that needs repair. So of course, like, how can you come to emotional fulfillment and somebody's like really stuck how things have to work out? So this is not the destination, this is a process. And so being overly emotional or pushing somebody in that kind of like side is really not helping the further growth. So how is one partner, how are you seen? Death. Well, you see, some of you are suffering. Some of you feel that you cannot continue or maybe you're seen this way, maybe that you don't want to continue with your partner, maybe your partner doesn't want to continue with you. It certainly indicates some form of ending and some kind of sense of loss. However, the death card is interesting one, right? You see, like, this one child is like cannot stand looking at that, but the other one is quite amused with what's going to happen. So that card really talks about putting behind things that don't work. You have to literally leave them, and maybe you Gemini are the ones, at least you're seen as ones who have this power, or you may also be seen as somebody who basically the partner feels that you cannot or don't want to be with them because you're going to see a whole bunch of failures in them, and hence just render them unusable because they showed up as the devil. So the devil on death is like that attraction that is not going in a good direction, and maybe there's superficiality, and you might put an end to it and say, you know what, look, I mean, it is not my job to nourish you. My job is to support you, and you have to resolve certain issues on your own. Communication, well, now it's the High Priestess. So there are certain secrets. There is some kind of inner knowledge. Some of you may go to a tarot reader. Some of you may contact Cat Tarot. In any case, this is kind of like a knowledge that can be gained and understood just through direct experience. So it's kind of interesting because sometimes when you're pushed into breakup zone, then you really polarize what you really think about this person. Really, most of the marriage proposals are happening after the breakup because one person got cold feet and the other person realized, whoa, I'm really missing them, I was so wrong, and they quickly just try to go back for them. This also can actually talk about children, and maybe some of you will either fail to conceive or maybe lose a pregnancy at this stage. But I really think this really means that it's kind of gaining of what can be accomplished, right? Because this is again like a magician, just like I'm in the beginning thought. This is tapping in the resources that you have in front of you. This is tapping in the resources that you have inside of you, and that's why the high priestess is ruled by the moon, right? So how is your partner seeing themselves? Well, 10 of Pentacles. Well, this has to do with celebrations, marriage, ancestry, like I mean your lineage, right? Because look, you have old, young, dogs, children, everything is here. So it could be that your partner is now turning around and realizing the potential and realizing how much happiness actually that can cause. And it could be like after you snap your fingers and you put certain things to rest. Karmically, well, karmically, it's talking about, okay, guys, it's time to kind of like join the table and have a teamwork. Now, it's kind of really interesting because you have pentacles, and pentacles are generally really good for, let's say, earthy relationship. Not that we have any other kind, but when we have earthy relationship, we are really talking about building something, and this is talking about getting the best you can be. Three of Pentacles is one of those cards of the expertise, because look, the artist is actually showing his masterwork to somebody who is gleaning at it. So two Pentacles is like obviously your partner in the third week will somehow resolve certain issues, and this is kind of like going deep inside of yourself to do it, or you're going to snap the fingers and say, look, we really need to strive toward this 10 of Cups. As far as the relationship, look, you have a relationship on the relationship. So yeah, look, from 3 to 4, this for you guys is moving forward. It's moving forward. It's going to depend on you not to kind of patch things up if you kind of like fell apart, not to lose yourself in a dreamland, but sort of like to go on a realistic level. So just quickly, I want to see how that's going to evolve the first week in July. Wow. Oops. Yeah, first week in July, it could be another shakedown, so be careful about that. So whatever you agree here, make sure you stick to it, because for some of you, this is permanent relationship. It could be a marriage. It could be kind of moving forward, and you have the Hierophant in the category that needs fixing. So things will not continue going the way they are. Things have to be better, because here I see almost a family. So either it's a family or it is talk about, I would say, going back to the old issues, because Nine of Wands reverse talks about somebody who is like one night stander versus not being in a serious relationship. So it could be that all this talking about let's go and let's kind of like do this seriously can be all falling apart due to the fact that somebody will feel, well, you know, I have so many other options, you know, that kind of attitude, and then they lose everything, which it can cause you to pull the plug on them. Queen of Swords reversed is somebody who is not shy to tell them what she thinks and use any vocabulary needed and do it with a great passion, and they might actually feel kind of like really brunt of it because they got the judgment underneath them. So this is kind of creating their karma, and they will feel that they deserve that, they actually created that. So what is basically saying here, because now you have a Ace of Pentacles and King of Wands reversed, is saying that it could be somebody that is involved with somebody else and it's unavailable, and this relationship to really truly go forward would really need to be built on a really proper ground. Because look, you have a 10 and you have a 1, and 1 would be like, I mean, normal natural start after 10, but it's reversed. So it would feel that you guys will get together, but then right after that the things will probably go back to where they were, and that's not going to be something that you are going to like, and you're going to address it and you're going to try to set things straight. And what's going to happen, we are going to know early in July when they release the next series. In the meantime, please guys tell me how is this evolving for you. I would love to get your comments, and please like, share, subscribe, and of course join the Facebook contest. Love you.